Yes, Devo Davis announces that he's going to the NBA, but relax, everybody. It's going to be just fine, and I'm going to tell you why.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Out of Bounds. You can catch every weekday afternoon from 1 to 4 on 103.7 The Buzz and 103.7thebuzz.com. Hope everybody is having a wonderful, wonderful Monday, as I am actually recording this podcast on Sunday. So that way it just kind of helps me out with timing and everything. So if you're looking at it or wondering why it looks a certain way or why it's doing a certain thing, then that's kind of why you know. But there are a lot of things that we need to talk about on today's podcast, and we'll try to get through them all. But something that actually happened over, I wouldn't say the weekend, but it happened Friday night, late Friday night, was Devo Davis. And Devo Davis announcing what his future will be when it comes to his next step into going into the NBA. In fact, I'm just going to put up his entire graphic here so that way there's no misconstrued message, and we'll read it together here as he says, "Since picking up a basketball for the first time, I had two dreams, playing for the Razorbacks and playing in the NBA. I consider myself very fortunate to accomplish the first goal, but now it is time for me to start preparing for my next goal. I will begin the process as a member of the 2023 NBA draft. I will see this process through and make an informed decision in the coming weeks. At this time, I will not forego my eligibility to ensure I have the option to return to the U of A for my senior season." This was a tweet that was very direct, very to the point, and honestly expected. Now, some people started seeing this and immediately said, "Hey, good luck, Devo. We love you at Arkansas. Wish you nothing but the best of luck in your next step." There were some people that are freaking out. I was like, there's no way he's going to get drafted. He doesn't need to go to the NBA. He needs to come back for another year. You know, everyone kind of had their own thing about this and how they treated it. But here's something that people have to remember, okay? Because of the rules and how it's done in the NBA Combine and everything, you can go to the NBA Combine. You can put your name in the draft and still come back for another year, okay? You can still do that. That is something that can happen. Now, we know how Devo and how great he's been for Arkansas and how pivotal he's been for the past 3 years for Arkansas and what he's been trying to do. But we also know that at each and every player, their dream, just like Devo said, is going to the next level and playing into the NBA. Now, he's not on any mock drafts or anything like that at this point in time. We know that there's going to be some other players, I'm sure. I'm still waiting on Anthony Black, kind of wondering what's the holdup there. But, there's going to be players that are going to make that next step and take that route where they can actually, go to the NBA, try it out and see what happens. And maybe it all goes really well. But the thing is that with what Arkansas has provided with Devo is a platform to be able to showcase just how good he truly is, how good he can be, especially when he's put in the right circumstances with the right players and the right personnel. And so I am totally fine and I am totally respectful to what Devo is trying to do and taking that next step. I think it's the best thing for him. Honestly, I think more players should do it because it does give you a grade and it does show that, hey, this is where you're at. This is where you need to work on. And if you do decide to come back, you'll have that opportunity available. And I love how Devo put that into his message where he's saying this is not the end. It's not like I'm going to try my hand at the NBA and see you later. It's something to where he wanted everybody to be perfectly clear that, yes, he is going into the NBA Combine, testing those waters, but still remaining eligible to return to Arkansas. I am sure that this is something that Devo Davis has talked to Eric Musselman about. I am 100% sure this is something that before he put this out, he's like, "Coach, I want to try my hand at the NBA. I want to see what it's about. And if it doesn't work out or if I don't hear what I want, I still want to be able to come back." And you know what Eric Musselman probably said? Absolutely, Devo. Absolutely. Let us know if you need anything. We would love to have you back. But if you go to the Combine and you hear what you want to hear and you want to take that next step, then that's great too. Now, I have no idea what Devo Davis is going to hear once he goes to the combine, or at least tries to his hand and getting some scouts and people to talk to him. Like, I have no idea what they're going to say. I have no idea what they're going to bring up or anything like that. But what I do know is that Devo is somebody who has really proven himself in some of the biggest moments, and the NCAA tournament has definitely been the case. I think back to his freshman year when Arkansas first made the Elite Eight in the second year under Eric Musselman. There was a lot of great performances, a great team effort. But, Devo Davis as a true freshman that year hit essentially the game-winning shot against Oral Roberts to be able to get Arkansas to the Elite Eight. Now, I know that that's not just like one moment and they're like, okay, well, because of that, he's an NBA prospect. I'm not saying that. But when you couple that with the other moments that he's had as a Razorback and his leadership qualities, his ability to play great defense, his improvement, his coachability, and then, of course, showcasing his ability in the past NCAA tournament, especially what he did against Kansas in that particular game when everybody was watching that game and that matchup and seeing him will his team to victory. Those are things that really are going to stand out to scouts, and they're going to be like, okay, this isn't just something where he's just, he's a fine college player. There's something to him. And one of the most important things and aspects that I believe Devo Davis has is that word I used earlier, coachability. Eric Musselman is a maniac. The dude is insane. You never know what you're going to see from him. You never know what you're going to hear from him. He is like always on top, just 150% go, 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 losing his mind. He's a maniac, and I love him for it because most geniuses, if you will, are a little out there, especially when they are trying to be ahead of the curve and trying to prove themselves and trying to outthink and outwit their opponents. A lot of times that's what comes along with it. And because of that fact, I am sure that there are times when Eric Musselman is an extremely difficult person to play for or to coach with or to even deal with in general because of that fact. It's like you follow him because he is great at what he does. He's able to get you where you need to be. He has proven himself to be a high-level winner at pretty much every level in college basketball, at least in basketball in general. So you want to follow him. But what he's going to demand from you and how he's going to demand it from you can really get old and can really be annoying and can really be something that is going to rub guys the wrong way, where they're like, hey, I don't want to deal with this dude. This dude's insane. I want no part of this. I'm moving on. We've seen guys hit the portal. We've seen guys, lose their minutes. We've seen guys maybe asked to leave. We've seen guys go to the NBA, whatever it is. But I'm not saying everybody that's ever left or anything that's the reason why, but I could see it. We all could see it. He's a guy who's very demanding and has the highest of expectations for everybody. And that's why having Devo Davis for 3 straight years at Arkansas and possibly even a 4th year, because I still believe he comes back for a 4th year. It's just my gut feeling. I have no evidence of it or anything, but that's just going off of my gut feeling. But assuming that that's the case, you're talking about a guy that obviously not only endures what Muss does to him and asks of him, but embraces it and enjoys it. And Muss also loves Devo. We know how that after the Kansas game, that embrace that they had and everything, you see there's a mutual respect there. But Muss even wants to keep Devo, wants to have Devo stay here, still be his guy, still be his player, which not everybody can say that. And I believe Devo understands, hey, each and every year I've gotten better at Arkansas. I've improved every element of my game. I've improved at the three-point shooting. I've improved at just everything I'm trying to do, I'm getting better at. And Muss is looking at it as, hey, everything we've asked Devo to do, he's done. He's put in the work. He gets into the gym. He tries to do his best at every turn. There's no excuses. He's getting after it each and every time. So that's why I feel like Devo has been so important. It's been one of the key pieces to all of this. And also, I believe that's what NBA scouts, or at least people who are going to be looking at Devo Davis, are going to be very appreciative of as well. Because when they call Eric Musselman up and they're like, hey, coach, what do you think of Devo? He's going to have nothing but glowing reviews for Devo. And one of the things he's going to say is the coachability. And when you get to the league and when you get to the NBA, I'm not saying no, there's people that aren't coachable, But there can be a lot of that too, where certain players may feel like they're better than what they are when they get there. And they're like, oh, I don't need coaching. I'm where I need to be. Or at least they're not very accepting of the coaching. And they just blow it off like, we don't need that. No, I'm bigger than that. I'm a bigger deal than that. I don't need any of that nonsense. That's not for me. And when you get to that point, it's going to cause some problems. The development may not be there. The effort may not be there, and people may not be willing to take a risk on you, especially when you're not a superstar, right? Because there are exceptions to the rule. I mean, if LeBron James is coming out of high school right now, yeah, it's probably like, hey, okay, well, we're going to look past a lot of things. But when you're a player like Devo, who's been in college for a few years and has had success and has improved his game, coachability is going to mean something, and putting in the work and the effort is going to mean something. And so that to me is what is one of the best elements of Devo, and why I believe he's going to be not only continuing to be hopefully a great Razorback and comes back next year, because I think it'd be awesome and they really could use him. It'd be great. But also why I feel like at some point in time, whether it's this year or next year, he's going to have an opportunity to get on a team. I don't know how good he'll be. I don't know how long he'll be in, but I think that there's just aspects to him and his ability to improve, where he'll be able to at least find a spot. I feel like Patrick Beverly, if some people brought up those comparisons, I can see some of the comparisons going along with it. But if Patrick Beverly can make it, who's to say that Devo can't as well? I could see it. I think you could see it. And either way, I'll say all that to say this. Whatever Devo decides to do, I'm going to be 100% supportive of it, and I'm going to be fine with it. I mean, I know it's cliche to say, but it's true. If Devo heard what he wanted to hear and said, you know what? I've been at college long enough. I felt like I got some really good feedback. I'm going to go to the next step, and I'm going to take my talents to the NBA. Then I'd be like, okay, man, like I really wanted you to come back, but I'm going to wish you nothing but the best of luck. You were awesome. Thank you for being one of the great Razorbacks, especially with the success that you had in the NCAA tournament. And if he decides to come back too, let's go. Let's get it done. Let's get crazy with it. Let's find a way. Because I told you, as I guess was it last week in the podcast, I said Arkansas needs those three guys of Brazil, Walsh, and Devo to come back and build around them for me to really feel like, hey, they'll pick up right where they left off this past year and maybe even be even better. They got Brazil back. I think they'll still get Devo back. Walsh is still up in the air, but those are the three that I really feel like could be the best type of thing that Arkansas could absolutely need. So we'll have to wait and see. Lots of time left, but either way, Devo, it's awesome, and hopefully you continue to be awesome and continue to find whatever it is you're looking for when it comes to the game of basketball. Folks, we talk about March Madness, and here's the thing. It's the game's ending tonight. It's insane. It's crazy that tonight is when college basketball comes to an end. But the Built Bar March Madness bracket is still here. And we all know that you have your favorite bar or puff, and now is the time to go make it count. So go to BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote on your favorites. I've always been a fan of the peanut butters and the chocolate chip cookie doughs, and anything dealing with that, I'm always going to be a fan of. But even the ones that were maybe more fruity that I normally would not be a fan of, they're still amazing. So I know you all have your favorites, but that's the best thing about it is when you go and you vote on which bar or puff that is your favorite, you will be in a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built Bars. That's right, free box of Built Bars. And on top of that, one lucky Locked On fan will get a 12-month subscription to Built, having all of Built's best bars and puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. So you got to try Built. It's the best protein bar ever. Seriously, they're so amazing. You will think that they're not good for you, but they absolutely are. So go to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote on your favorite bar or puff and pick up a box while you're there. And you can also vote every day in March, and also you're running out of time here in April, and you can get on there and support your pick at BuiltMarchMadness.com.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. This is phenomenal. I know baseball's here, and Arkansas was able to take care of business against Alabama. They got smoked in Game 1 on Friday, and then they were able to come back and win here just this past Saturday and Sunday. But what an incredible thing here. Like, this cracks me up. I'm just going to show the video because this was on Saturday, all right? This is on Saturday where Coach Bohannon for Alabama got ejected. He didn't like the calls. He was arguing up, and this was a video that was taken by Jonathan Costa of Channel 5 up there in Fayetteville, which Tegna partner, of course. But yeah, he took the video, and not only did Bohannon get ejected, but he did a little bit more than that as he mocked the Hog Call. Check it out. Yeah, not a great move there, Coach. Not a great move. I saw that, and because I was at the Arkansas Derby. I was down there, so I didn't get a chance really to watch much of the game. But when I saw that on social media, I was like, dude, if you're going to do that, if you're going to mock the Hog Call, you better win the series. You better win the series. It's one thing to get upset with the umpire. It's one thing to get frustrated with the way your team's playing or the way the game's going. It's even more understandable if you get frustrated with the other team or the other coach, because we see that happen all the time. But when you start mocking the fans of the opposing team and you don't win the series, that might be the worst look you could ever have. The worst look you could ever have. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You're going to go out there and you're going to mock the Hog Call and go home with an L. Back-to-back L's, mind you. You got them riled up, and they had nothing to do with your ejection. They had nothing to do with the game. They had nothing to do with any of that. But you felt like, you know what? I'm getting ejected, and I forget showing up the ump, forget showing up the other team, forget just walking out. I see the fans, and I'm going to go, ooh, do all the pig suey stuff and try to make fun of them for that. That's the move. No wonder Alabama is a poverty baseball program that has not been relevant. Like, no wonder for stuff like that. If that's what your coach is doing, I just don't understand. I have no idea. Like, what was the thinking behind that? Listen, you mock the call, you lose it all. And that's what happened. You lost the series. So it wasn't easy for Arkansas. And Alabama did give them a run. Arkansas has given up a ton of hits, and, you know, pitching with all the injuries that they've had to deal with is still something that, you know, they're having to work through and having to figure out who's going to be doing what and which guys are going to be stepping up in all those regards. Like, totally understand it, totally get it. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the end of the world or anything like that. Because, again, they got the series victory, and, of course, they're going to have to keep it moving. They got Tennessee here in a couple weeks. I can't wait. I'm going to be up in Fayetteville for that series. So that one's going to be pretty awesome. But they're doing what they need to do. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and just continuing to go out there and take care of business in series. Right now, I believe they're right there behind LSU in the West, which is huge. And then they're going to travel this weekend to Ole Miss, which is a Thursday series. So to be on the lookout for that. Starts on Thursday, 6:30, Friday 6:30, and then Saturday at 2. So Ole Miss is not great. They lost to A&M, I think, in this past weekend on a walk-off. But Arkansas is doing, you know, again, things that they need to do. But the fact that this dude, this Chach, this jabroni, goes out there and mocks the Hog Call, I'm like, dude, why? Why, of all things? Like, what do you do? Again, if you do that, you better win. You better win. I would say that about any coach. If you're going to go out there and you're going to start doing something with the fans and mixing it up with the fans, you better take home the W. But when you don't, you lose twice, brother. Like, that's bad. That's a joke. I didn't even know who this guy was. Like, I think that if you asked me to name the 14 SEC head coaches in baseball, I could probably name 10 right off the top of my head. He would not have been one of them, but now I'll never forget him. Like, I would put that in Crystal Bridges. This dude trying to call the Hogs and mock the Hog Call and taking an L back with him to Tuscaloosa. Sad. Truly sad. Truly sad. Should have known better, my man. Should have known better. We're going to talk about something a little bit more serious, though, and something with, of course, dealing with here in the state of Arkansas with some of the storms that came in on the other side of the break. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Folks, I know that a lot of you who listen to this podcast live in the state of Arkansas, and a lot of you don't live here in the state of Arkansas. Maybe you lived here at one point in time, but this past Friday, it was a very scary thing that happened here in the state, where storms came through, tornadoes came through, and I was actually too close to the F3 tornado that tore through central Arkansas. I was actually doing a live radio show over at Gwatney Chevrolet in Jacksonville from 1 to 4, and right in the middle of our show is when we heard about it, and then we got the alerts. It's like, take cover now, and I had to stop my radio show and go to the just kind of the news broadcast to give everybody local updates on that instead of us trying to make it work. But as soon as we got done, I looked outside, and we're right there off the interstate, and I just see the tornado coming right towards me. And I've never, ever even been anywhere close to the tornado. I grew up in Fayetteville, man. Like, we don't get tornadoes in Fayetteville at all. And so to see that happen, and to just, like, again, it was so scary, because when I saw it coming my way, car dealership isn't exactly the safest place when it comes to with all the windows and everything. But we got to a closet, place back in the back, no windows or anything. A lot of us salespeople there, which all of them were great, getting everybody to shelter. We go back in there, and it's like the power starts flickering, building starts shaking a little bit, and I think I needed a new pair of pants, because I was kind of like scared. I thought, I was like, man, is my time really going to end at Gwatney Chevrolet in Jacksonville? Man, that'd be crazy. But I was very fortunate where it just kept moving on, and luckily I was safe, and everybody around is safe. But not everybody can say the same. There were a few very minimal fatalities, which was obviously one is too many, but to see the little amount that it could have been, considering how much damage was done, was really great. Whether it was in the Little Rock area, right up there with Rodney Parham, the North Little Rock area, Sherwood, Jacksonville, Wynn, just to name a few places that had to deal with the storm and everything, was just, it was just devastating. And it was sad. It was heartbreaking when just driving back and seeing all the damage that was done. The silver lining of it all, though, is that thankfully, this tornado hit during the day. So when it went through residential areas, no one was home. Most people, at least, weren't home. They were either at work or kids were at school. So, as far as the life that was lost, it was held to a very minimum amount. And so it was just a scary thing. And, I know these types of things happen all the time, unfortunately, throughout the country and throughout the world, natural disasters and whatnot. But when you start to see and watching the news and seeing a place destroyed that you would go to, a restaurant you'd go to, a grocery store you'd shop at, an area you drive by each and every day, and it's just gone, that really hits you home. That really changes things, very much so. And so my thoughts and prayers still to everybody out there that was impacted by the storm. Again, I was a very lucky individual. I know a lot of people out there were not so lucky, but this is something that I'll always appreciate and enjoy, because, if you ever listen to my radio show on 103.7 The Buzz, you know that my intro is always the same type of thing each and every day. And when I go through the intro, I always say the great state of Arkansas. Now, I don't say that just because it kind of rhymes and it's a little cute. I say that because I believe it. This is the greatest state in the country. That's why I live here. That's why I love living here. That's why I wouldn't dream of living anywhere else. This is where I want to be. I want to be in this state. I want to be with these people, with Razorback fans like you, and be with the people who love this state and have so much pride in it, because there's so many great things about it. And with all the stuff that people know about Arkansas, whether it's the Razorbacks or whether it's the Walmart and Sam's Club and JB Hunt, all the big businesses and Bill Clinton, all those things that they may know. What makes Arkansas so great is not those things to me. What it is the people and the support that we have for one another and the love that we have for one another. When I was driving back from Jacksonville, just seeing how many people were out helping, Not just first responders, not just police officers, not just firefighters, but there was the National Guard out there. There were the military. There were people that were just volunteers going out and helping in each and every way that they could. And that was immediately after the storm. There wasn't some sort of call to action where they had to gather everybody around and say, okay, you do this, you do. It was just like that. Immediate, let's get out and we got to help. Because that's what we in Arkansas do. We take care of one another. People are always going to hate on us. People always make fun of Arkansas for whatever reason it is. But there's a lot of pride in what we are and who we are and what we do here in this state. And we are always going to be there for the good times. And we're going to help each other out in the bad times. And so I think that as bad as that was and as heartbreaking as it was so awesome just to see like everybody from all different backgrounds, all different races, all different religions, all different everything, just coming together and helping out because people needed help. And that is just awesome. And people continue to need help. So for those of you that can and are interested, I'm going to, here on our YouTube page, put a link down below where you can help donate to relief after the tornadoes here in the state of Arkansas. I know there's a lot of different sources and people that are out there that are the relief, but I'll be sure to put a link down below. So check it out. If you're able to donate, able to help out those that are in need. A lot of people lost a lot of things that meant most to them, and we need to help them out in any way that we can. So if you can help out, that's great. But I just wanted to say, hey, we're Arkansas strong. We're all in this together. We're all going to get through it together. And there's a reason why that tornado, they could only do so much to us because, listen, we're Arkansans. We're not going to stay down for long. We're not going to put up with that. We're not going to leave without a fight. You kidding me? It's like, you come at us, you better come prepared because we're going to fight back and we're going to be better and we're going to be stronger because of it each and every time. Again, thoughts and prayers to everybody out there. And please donate if you can to the link below. Appreciate everybody listening in to Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at BuzzJohnNabors for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.